Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm very well. How are you?
Good, good. So we'll just give it a couple minutes to let folks kind of get on here. And then I'm going to run a really small presentation for 1 to 2 minutes just about women who code. And then it'll be all on you.
Okay, cool. Do you know how many people have registered?
Um, this is an event that was handed over to us from Dion. And so she kind of has like the back end details of all of that. I think it's about 20 to 40 people. Um, but it's not something I myself can go in and check because I didn't set this one up. I know there's also a couple of meetings that were set up for study groups.
Mhm.
So I think folks are meeting there as well.
Okay, I need to reconnect because otherwise I cannot share my screen, so we'll be back in a sec.
Okay. There we go.
Hello. I'm kind of like, you connect like twice.
I think it's got you on twice for your screen share.
Exactly. And there is one more important point. I think you should go.
What are you saying?
I think it's got your screen twice so that you can have your screen share on the second one.
Oh, okay. Uh, Share screen. Okay, I'll try to start with Mom Explorer. Okay, let's see. I'll probably stop sharing this and we'll share.
So I'll just get started with the women who code stuff now, and then
Is there shall we wait a bit longer? There's just Ashutosh is he's my colleague, so he's kind of he's shadowing me. So shall we wait for
ah,
a minute more?
I see that they're in the chat. That Ashutosh has logged in. Does do you need to make that person a panelist as well?
No, yeah, we can make him panelist.
There we go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have your other panelists in. I'll just start with Women Who Code stuff, and it's recording all of this, so we can also let you know once the link is up on YouTube. So I'll get started with this, and then you can take over with your presentation.
Okay.
So we are here for coding in Corda with beginners. This is a Women Who Code blockchain event. I am one of the two Women Who Code Leadership Fellows helping run the blockchain track this year with events like this. We also have a great team of track leads supporting the work on blockchain and making events happen. Our mission at Women Who Code is really to inspire women to excel in technology careers. And our vision is a world where women are representative as technical executive, founders, VCs, board members, and software engineers. Anywhere you find folks in tech, we hope women are there. Women Who Code has about 230,000 members across 70 networks in 20 countries right now. And the movement, especially in these times, as the world changes, we hope we can be a connecting force that creates a sense of belonging while the world is being asked to isolate. And events like this and study groups are, one of those key ways that we really, find to get together. We do have a code of conduct here at Women Who Code. It's an inclusive community. If you see at the bottom there, you can access an incident report if there's anything making you feel unsafe or a little uneasy. If you note something going on with other folks, you can report it there at womenwhocode.com/code of conduct. There are a variety of other tracks that you can sign up for events. You can check out Women Who Code Python, front end, things like that. They're available on the YouTube channels, on Twitter, through womenwhocode.com. There's lots of ways to connect. You can also join our blockchain track. If you reach out to Sapphire at womenwhocode.com, she can send you a link to let you into our Slack community. And today we have a presentation from Iryna. I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about Corda. I'm just going to let her take it from here once I stop sharing my screen.
Hello everyone, I'm Iryna. I'm a developer evangelist at R3, and today we'll start our first webinar on a series of lectures about how to code in Corda. So let me share my screen and we'll go through like a couple of presentations. After that, I'll show you like a teaser of what you can do with the Corda. I'll show you our code explorer and auction sample that was kindly written for us by Ashutosh Shmeher, who is a panelist here as well, and he's joined this webinar too. So thanks, Ashutosh. And so let's say start sharing my screen. Share screen. Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
You see the slides, right?
Yes, I see the slides. Looks great.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, 1 second. Today we're going to talk about Corda. So this is our first lecture, and there is ways to contact us via Slack. so /corda.net. There is a documentations, there is a Git repository. You can email us and tweet us. So let's kind of give you like a very quick overview of what is Corda, and then we'll try we'll see how it works. So first of all, like our belief is distributed ledger technology reduces cost and time to market while increase the speed of businesses. So you want we started as an ecosystem of 9 banks, and now there are 350 plus participants. So it includes regulatories, central banks, ISVs, independent software vendors. Sorry, I need to close the window. Our initial Series A was $120 million in funding, which was the largest series ever raised. And thousands of developers contributed to Corda open source. And there were 3,000 certificates Corda developers in 2019 alone. So what is the issues with the traditional blockchains and why the Corda was created in the first place? So if we see here, there's like strong like it's identity problem. Like there is no strong identity in blockchain. You don't know with whom you transact. Every participant is pseudonymous. You could only see public key of the counterparty, but you never found who they are. This is for businesses, this is not acceptable scenario, and you have to know with whom you are having business. Second issue is the privacy. There is a great transparency in traditional blockchains. And basically each transaction is like a broadcast to every peer on the network, which is for businesses, again, it's not acceptable scenario. And there is there is also like issues with the speed, because each node has to process all of the transactions since it's broadcasted. And integration, why we need integration. So the blockchain doesn't form an entire application. It needs to talk to like multiple other applications. And so that's this is exactly what we are currently like working on in Corda. Let's go to the next slide. So with Corda, we can refocus the idea of public blockchain and make it private blockchain. We can focus on strong identity. That means that we know anybody who gets into the network, because they have to get approval by network operator. And so I'll primarily focus on the privacy. And on the next slide, we'll see like that Corda communication is peer-to-peer. In traditional blockchains, all parties have to reach consensus, and in Corda, it's offloaded to a notary. So we achieve performance scalability by design with the Corda enterprise. So we have high transaction speed, and the transaction speed also based on the client demand and client developer services only. Interoperability, so it's suitable for interoperability, and there are several projects that are in the process. And lastly, there is a Corda Core, which is open source, and Corda network and testnet is just help to everybody to get a feeling of what's real network hub, and feel free to use it. So blockchain was designed for businesses. During the design of what's now Corda, we were really doing, we were looking on impact on different technologies and what kind of opportunities this technology might bring to financial industry. Might be to create cost savings and efficiency after considering traditional blockchains. So ultimately, we realized none of these technologies can be adapted nor fit for our use cases, and we had to build what is now known as Corda. But we did take some blockchain design features. So what's our version of blockchain? So it's blockchain for businesses applicable to all industries. There is a common misconception that Corda is blockchain for banking, but not we are not. There are many projects in the insurance world, in logistics, supply chain, healthcare systems. And also at Corda, we try to create a cross-industry ecosystem, but there are also many financial projects, for example, Swiss exchange. And we create a distributed ledger technology system, not to create another silo. We want to create a large global ecosystem where financial, insurance, and supply chain companies are in the same network. So let me share. Let me share. Show you example. 1 second. Stop sharing. So let me share. Let me share my auction. Auction example, which was kindly written by our by Ashutosh. So this is auction example. So I will also lately show how Node Explorer. So in an auction, we have several participants. So party A, party B, and party C. And we can create every party has assets, and it has like no balance. And we can see that party B has another assets, and party C has an assets. So let's create an auction and click on the asset and create a base price, for example, $1,000, and auction deadline. So it will be today, and let's make it like 2 minutes from now. So we created an auction. So this is active auction, and you can see on party A, it can see the auction and it can make a bid. So the bid amount should be larger than 1,000. So let's make 1,000, place a bid. And then on party A, on party B, it can see the highest bid, but we can bid even higher. And so now from party C, it has the kind of it has it's saying that in 50 seconds the auction will be closed, and then it means that this piece of art will be sold to like highest bidder, which is will go to party B to make a bid, to pay for it. Switch to party B. So also it has to have we can create another bid. We have to add assets since it doesn't have money, so we can issue cash. And for example, we want to issue 3,000 issue to party B. So now party B has this cash, and it can pay and settle. So there are 3 parties on this auction, and party B just bought a piece of art from party C. So now we see that he spent all his money. There is no money, and party C now has like balance of $1,300. And his assets has moved from party C to party B. So let's see how it's on the on a node explorer. Let's see how this was reflected on the ledger. Let me change my new share. Explorer. So are you guys seeing my Corda node explorer?
Yeah, we can see everything.
Okay, thank you. So on this dashboard, we can see the node that's been that we are running, and we see every this table shows like every application and some like important information about this application. So for example, auction code up. This is exactly auction that we've been like running. And so this is now like dashboard. In the network, we can see parties like where they are. So there is a party B, party C that been involved in this transaction. So since the information and transactions are not broadcasted to all peers in the network, we only peers that been involved are party C and party B. So let's see how it's been. So let's see how it's been on the vault, on the ledger. So ledger we call vault in Corda. So let's see how it's been changed and what assets we have. Like for example, we can switch to like only assets and see the assets that's been. So the screen is now in a party C ledger. So we see the owner is party C. We see that this is the current state. Previously, the owner was party B, but now since it was bought is here, and we also see that other assets that are on the ledger of other nodes. So there was Mona Lisa and Last Supper. And so that's it. Let's see auction. Let's see how it's in the beginning. So we had this like scream asset, and then there was auction state, which with the highest bid of 1,300. So this was the highest bid that have been recorded in this auction for this piece. So we record the highest bid and the base price, and the auctioneer was like party C, and the winner was party B. So here we see that this piece of information means that this auction actually like this bid happened. So here we have like the bid recorded, and previously we see that other bids have been recorded like 1,300, 1,200, and 1,100. And so we also can see these assets. So here we can see everything, but we can filter it by different assets and auction states. And so yeah, and let's now switch to the to the presentation and go through our slides and learn a bit about Corda network. So new share. Let me just show you my. So let's start to learn Corda. And let's first talk about Corda network structure. So it's useful to think of a Corda network as a fully connected graph where all nodes on the graph are actual Corda nodes. Each node represents an individual organization, but typically they represent legal identity. And each runs the Corda software. This is an instance of Corda and one or more Corda applications that we call Corda. So the edges on this graph represents a potential for these nodes to communicate. So all of the nodes in the network has a potential to communicate with other nodes. So as long as you can see a node, you can message to it. And you always should know a destination of a message and send it directly. So why potential? Because the connections on the graph don't have to be persistent. On the networking level, Corda uses persistent queues, but as with the email, if your recipient is offline, your messages will wait on an outbound queue until the recipient comes online. So also want to stress out that in Corda, there is no single central store of data. Instead, each node maintains its own database of those facts that it's aware of. The facts that the node knows about the others that is involved with. So for example, if Alice bought a piece of art from Bob, only on the network, only Alice and Bob will store identical records of the facts about this piece of art. And there is no central node that stores everything. This is like common misconception that people often think about when talking about Corda. So Corda nodes run within a Java virtual machine on the network. A Corda node hosts Corda services and Corda apps. Each node has a single, well-known, unique identity. And the node's identity is used to represent the node in transactions. For example, if the node were involved in a transaction to purchase an asset. There is also a mechanism for nodes to discover each other on the network. And this mechanism is a simply list of all nodes on the network, which publishes a list of peer nodes that includes some metadata about who they are and what services they can offer. So this mechanism, which is list of all nodes, is a network map service. You can think about it as an address book. So unlike traditional blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum, Corda network is semi-private. And what does it mean? It's basically if a company wants to join the network, a node must be obtain a certificate from a network operator. So this certificate maps a well-known node identity to real-world legal identity, and also to public key. So the network operator enforces rules regarding the information that nodes must provide, and the know your customer processes they must undergo before being granted with this certificate. And let's also talk about like Service Hub. Internally, the node has access to a rich set of services that are used during flow execution to coordinate ledger updates. The key services provided are information on other nodes on the network and the services they offer. So access to the content of the ledger and the storage services. It can also create like public-private keepers, information about node itself, and the current time, that is information that's tracked on the node. So typical use case of Noda is to allow different organizations to message to each other, to kind of to communicate with each other and to transact with each other. So, and this is essentially a shared fact. So it's like a piece of data that doesn't exist in the central repository, but instead it exists in all nodes that participate in this event. And also Node helps to abstract away quite a lot of complexities like concurrency, disaster recovery, key management, data distribution, storage, peer discovery, and messaging. So it's very simple to use it and to like via like Service Hub, and yeah, it's very simple. So let's talk about shared fact. So shared fact, just like mentioned, it's like piece of data that doesn't exist in the central repository, and in Corda, shared fact called the state. So flow is an entry point. So you can think about it of your code app. Think of it as a like main function in Java or C++, but in Corda, there can be like many of them. We basically call these functions like by RPC code. Steps in the flow. So steps in this kind of in your function reflects business logic of your Corda. And since we are on the network, it usually communicates with other nodes, and you can like tell when to communicate, what you want to communicate to, and who to communicate with. So in essence, the flow framework does, what it does is it creates a mechanism for developers to write their own state machines, which controls the interaction with other parties who want to agree on some shared fact. Flow is a function that executes business logic, and we are going to look at the hello world. And of course, we'll do some more complex things like message other nodes a bit later. So let's start coding. Like let's try our like first exercise. Guys, do you have any questions? Gnana? Okay. Thank you, Sneha, for answering questions. I didn't check it through before, so thanks a lot. So let's go to our online IDE. I will give so I will give a link for it in the chat. Okay. Okay, can you please, guys, make sure you have access to it. Will I will start sharing my screen. Share screen. Let me make it bigger. Uh, so you can find flow that we are going to write today in workflows, then source, then main Java com template flows, and hello.java. Can you guys see it? I don't see any questions. Let me see. Yeah. Oh, sorry. So let me move my notes here. We'll do this. Yeah, let's do this instead. So here we see the hello world example, and it's just a simple function that return hello world. And so I also want to kind of like reiterate again of what we learned today, that you should think of a node as an application container platform. Applications are called code apps, and they primarily consist of flows. Flows are written by you, and you can think of it as any function or program. And flows are they can be executed concurrently by the node and have access to a range of services which node offers via Service Hub. Most importantly, they have access to messaging primitive to send and receive messages. And here's example. So you can like see that it just like this function returns hello world, and you can ignore all of other syntax. And for now, but it will become important later. And as we are here to execute the above flow and code the node, it will just return hello world and cease the execution. The technical term for flow is also like coroutine. Coroutine is a function that can be suspended and resumed at arbitrary points throughout its execution. As flows can be suspended and resumed, this enables us to run them concurrently. So, for example, when one flow is waiting to receive a message, another flow can make progress. And you can think of this similar to like multi-threading. So that's why we have here the suspendable annotation. And so the workflow of Corda developer is like super simple. If you write a flow, which is like your program or set of flows, like several programs, you compile those flows into code app, and then start the Corda node and set Corda nodes with the you should make sure that Corda app is installed and start the flow of one of those nodes. And although required sometimes running the flow on a single node is not particularly excited. So um, um, indeed, like because the whole point of Corda is that can build distributed ledger system which span multiple organizations, and to do that we need to pass messages between nodes. But that we'll look at next. Let's now try to run our first like Corda, which is just like hello world. And for that, please run Shift Command P, and here just like run deploy node, Corda deploy nodes. So so in this time we can generating we deploying several nodes. It's like party A, party B, party C, and the node tree. And so we see that it's completed. And now what we need to do next is to run those nodes. Again, please press Shift Command P. And from the menu, please choose Run Nodes. And then, the nodes will spawn in like several terminals, and you can switch between them and like this drop down. You can see, so this is drop down. You can switch between them. So they still like starting the nodes. Need to wait a bit. So also it provides our PC connection address, which is localhost. It provides P2P messaging addresses, so you can connect to these nodes. Let's start our node to run our flow, which is our program. Now on any of these like party nodes that we just start running, we need to start flow. So and here we see we printed our message hello world. So we'll start any program, any flow that's been on your code app, and it will just the name of your flow is hello, and this hello will run everything within this like function call. That's so congratulations, now you run your first hello world code app, and so you learn a bit about Corda network, about nodes and flows, and next time we will write more complex flows where we start messaging between two different nodes. It will be like ping pong, and also like sleepy flow, where flow sleeps and then sends another message. So please join me on our Corda for beginners in next Friday. So yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I think some of the questions have already been answered.
Uh-huh.
And I know we've posted some of the code.
Okay, so is this
We have one question that's, what's the shortcut command to pull up the Corda plugin?
so it's like Shift Command P.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank
And
you.
this is going to be an ongoing study group, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So folks can join us again
Mm-hmm.
for future panels.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we'll just wrap that up then for today. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.